So how long and windy is your road? You know, it's kind of interesting. There is a long and winding road that we're all on. Some of us think we might have longer and windier roads than other people. But you know why? We all, everyone here, has an individualized curriculum for this precious thing that we call life. We're here because we're here to learn and grow and get closer and closer and closer, more open and open and open to that thing we call God, that elusive thing we call God, that's greater than any of our human mind can understand. But that's our journey here. You know, the masters asked, does God exist? Oh, the disciples responded in chorus, yes, yes. And the master said, wrong. And so the disciples said, oh, no. And the master said, wrong again. Well, what's the right answer? The disciples asked. There is no answer. Well, why is that? The disciples asked. Because there is no question. There is no question. The way we teach it in our philosophy, our teaching, our religion, is God is all there is. Just say that. God is all there is. That's a truth. I mean, it's hard for our human mind to actually embrace that because it's way bigger than we can even imagine, that God is all there is. And we know that God is, in its fullness, God is love. God is goodness. And the way God expresses that love and that goodness is through grace. Grace is that givingness, that infinite givingness of spirit, of the divine, to all of its creation. So I know some of us really believe we receive more grace than others, but we don't. It's given equally to all. God loves some of those wimpy little things you were talking about, those little crawly things that crawl around and stuff, just as much as the great big humans and animals. We're all loved equally. And it's through grace that we can understand that we can understand this mysterious journey. Life is a mystery. And for our little brains to understand that, well, we got pretty big brains, but to understand it is quite a chore and quite a challenge. But when we just open our hearts and allow grace to come in, our journey can be so much easier. Because grace flows through the good times and the bad times, the successes and the failures, the love and the fears, all of it, it's there. So if we're going on a journey of grace, I guess, a journey of grace, we have to pack our bags. So get ready. Now, I don't know about you packing. Some people can pack everything they need in this little tiny suitcase. I am not there yet. I'm working on it. And then there's the other people that need everything and have lots of baggage with them. Well, I'm getting over some of that too. But in our journey to grace, there's a few concepts that I'd like us to pack that will make our lives easier and better, more understandable, and definitely more connected. Definitely more connected. Because when I said we're all on individualized curriculums that have been designed for us, some of the crazy people we see, really crazy people, have their own curriculums they're on. And we need to give them some understanding. So the first thing I want to put in our bag, we'll start with the G, grace. We have to put the givingness of spirit and realize that when spirit is giving of itself in creative expression as us and as all life, because we're the way God knows itself, the expression of God, the unique individualized expressions of everything, that we have to realize that that givingness isn't just sometimes. It's happening all the time. There's a generosity in that givingness. God gives abundantly. We are all, I know you're not going to agree with me, but we all have everything we need all the time. We don't have everything we want. That's the difference. But we have everything we need all the time. That's the way life works. If we feel differently, it's because we've closed off the letter R, our receptivity. We have to be there to receive the gifts that have been given, because that's the way it is. God gives. In fact, it was Jesus said, it is God's good pleasure to give, the Father, but God's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It should be our great privilege to receive the gifts that are being given continually. But don't feel bad if you don't feel like you're getting enough. It's okay, because there's something called accumulated doubts and fears and uncertainties of the ages. It's this collective consciousness that holds all of the fears and doubts and uncertainties of all the races and people, the human race that has gone before us. It holds all of this, and it creates, we're part of this collective consciousness. So in us, we have these hidden beliefs. There's not enough, I'm unworthy, lack, fear, people aren't good, there's not, all of this limited human thinking is part of the consciousness that we have around us. But because humans put it there, guess what? We can take it away. We can reject those fears, those problems. We can reject them and give them up. We have to be aware, okay, this is something that's not working in my life. I need to open up to have a greater understanding, accept a greater truth. This thing I might label as bad or wrong just might be part of what I'm here to learn. I mean, if you think about it, haven't you learned the most from some of the most difficult experiences? We can expand our thinking to know we're not being punished in any way. We're here to be given what we need to grow and expand and become something more wonderful, more generous, kinder. It was Maya Angelou, I love Maya Angelou, who said, I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be diminished by it. That's resilience, another R you can put in your bag. We need the resilience to recognize and realize that the twists and turns on this long and winding road of life are part of our experience of growth and understanding for something better. Some of us love to hold on to our limitations, though. They're good excuses sometimes why we can't do something, why we can't do it. We hold on to these limitations. I mean, it reminds me of one of the things that happened when I was recovering. Deanna came over the first night. Kirk's a really good nurse, too. But he doesn't play me podcasts of Anne Lamott and different things. So Deanna came over, and I couldn't see, and she played me these wonderful podcasts. I don't know if you know Anne Lamott, but she is hysterical. She's like Reverend Janet. She is so funny. And so Deanna's playing me this stuff, and it just uplifted my spirit. And Anne Lamott says that laughter is carbonated holiness. Don't you love that? I love it. It's just carbonated holiness. But Anne Lamott says grace is like spiritual WD-40. Don't you love that? It was just so cute. But she also said spirituality means waking up, and that's what we're here to do. And sometimes we need a good shock to wake us up. And it reminds me of these limitations. I want you to think of the limitations you're holding on that give you good excuses why not to do something. Some things we just don't do because they're not ours to do, and that's fine. But the limitations that keep us from doing the things we're supposed to do are the things that I'm talking about. It's like when this businessman goes into a bar, and he sits down at the bar, and he looks over, and he sees this man that has a banana in his ear. And he thinks, oh my gosh, should I tell him he has a banana in his ear or not? It's really not my place to do that. It's not my business. I'll just let it go. But after a few drinks, which were probably his WD-40, he loosens up and he says to the guy, well, sir, you have a banana in your ear. And the guy says, what? And he says, you have a banana in your ear. And the guy says, I can't hear you. And so the businessman's almost yelling, you've got a banana in your ear. And the guy says, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I have a banana in my ear. We need to take the bananas out of our ears, okay? Because we have to be courageous enough. This is C, but I forgot A. In kindergarten, we didn't spell grace. So, okay, this awareness of our limitations. And then we have to make the choices and have the capacity to make that differentiation of what's mine to do that is not mine to do, because if we try to do everything, we don't make the space for other people to do their part. We can't get our need to do everything thrown all over everybody. We have to just recognize, be aware of what's mine to do and where are my limitations that are keeping me stuck. So that's the A, the awareness. And the C would be, a greater capacity. Change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. If we're going to be really raising up the consciousness, this collective consciousness, we can clean it out. Even a small group of people can clean out this consciousness because we're powerful and strong. Right here and now, there's a power for good. Greater than we are, right here, all around us. It's there for us right now, and we can use it. We can remodel our thinking right now by opening our capacity to receive the goodness, the love, the grace that is already there. We can receive it in this moment. It's interesting because I was thinking the last letter E is our elevated thoughts, and asking ourselves, we have to be aware of what feeds us. What are the soul fertilizers that feed you? What do you love to do? It's being, that must be God calling. This morning, there's a little tiny nest in our light that's outside our front door. And our daughter noticed it, and it's just really sweet. It's right there. It's too high to look into, but it's right there. And yesterday, the little chicks, 3 of them, started peeping. They were loud, and I could say, I can't open the door because I have a little tiny beveled glass mirror in our front door, and I'm looking out, and the mom comes over, and she's feeding the little birds. And I'll tell you, they are loud and noisy. They are hungry. But grace to me was the commitment of that mom. She was there at 6:24 this morning. But the commitment of that mom to come back every half hour, every 45 minutes to feed those little birds. God's grace shows it takes tenacity and resilience to do the things that need to be done. When I thought of these elevated thoughts and the enthusiasm we need to share with each other, and that's why I love coming here, because the enthusiasm, what we see each other in joy and healing and happiness and goodness, I think of Julian Norwich, the medieval English mystic who lived in a time of raging pandemic, but she had a radically optimistic theology. She said, all will be well. All things will be well. And that's what she talked about, because she knew in the depth of her being, and this is what mystics know, that life is inherently good. And no matter what we are experiencing right now, there's goodness to come, and we can grow in something greater. Now, she said, besides, all is well. It was interesting you ended your prayer this morning with all is well, Barbara, because I thought, all is well. She encouraged people to stay connected to their feelings, because that's how we're going to know what's going on in those limiting beliefs, what we're feeling about them. She said, do not run away from bad news. Know we have the capacity to respond more efficiently, creatively, and effectively. She talks about the endless love, which is the grace of God that fills everything. She said, we're surrounded by love, like an ocean of love all around us. And just as the fish breathe in the water, we breathe in divinity all the time when we're open and available. So I want to take a minute right now, and I'd like to close with a prayer. I'd like just to put your feet on the ground, just as I say, to untangle ourselves. Use that spiritual WD-40. Loosen yourself up. Just spray all over you so you're loose, you're open, available. Your heart and mind are connected so you can feel and know the goodness of God that is ever present right here and now. As we imagine ourselves in that ocean of divinity, the ocean of goodness, that ocean of aliveness that is life, that is grace, that is goodness, that is God right here, right now, and always we are here in this same space. We open our receptivity that we can accept the light that is always present. There are always flickers of light, even in the darkest times. There is that light of hope, of understanding, of knowing that we are on the trajectory of goodness, of love. No matter if the times are hard in this moment, there is goodness and better yet to come. We feel that and know that. And as we join together in the collective consciousness of love, we lift up the light of the world. We feel that amazing grace of God as it moves through us and as us, that can clear our vision, that we may see the goodness in life, in others, in ourself, in the earth, in all people and things. We let goodness and love and light be the truth that guides us through the dark storms and leads us at our time of growth and happiness and joy and success. That goodness is there through it all. That grace is there through us all, reminding us it is a privilege to be alive. It is a privilege to be alive. How blessed we are, how good it is to be right here, right now, in this amazing grace.